Welcome to this explainer. We're jumping right into the incredible life of a 16th century leader, Janava Mata. But we aren't just looking at a standard historical biography today. We're actually going to explore how our source takes her enduring legacy and uses it to completely challenge and rewrite modern assumptions about history. So, let's get into it. Here's our roadmap. We'll cover a 16th century beginning, the spiritual center, taking the mantle, the Kechuri festival, the journey to Vrindavan, and finally, the broader argument. Part 1, a 16th century beginning. Our story begins in the vibrant landscape of 16th century Bengal. Born in Ambika Kalna to Surya Das Sarweka and Bhathrati Dwivi, Jahanava and her sister Vasudala were raised in a deeply devoted, highly prestigious Brahmin family. So, from a very young age, they were steeped in profound scriptural knowledge. Both sisters later married Nityanand Prabhu, which was a massive turning point. Nityanand Prabhu was widely revered as the chief associate of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Because of this union, Janava Mata was instantly placed at the absolute epicenter of the Gaudiya Vaishnava spiritual community. Now, the source makes a crucial theological point about her status. In the Gaudiya Vaishnava tradition, she wasn't just seen as a supportive wife or a dedicated practitioner. She was revered as the literal, physical embodiment of Ananga Manjari. This divine association identifies her directly as the younger sister of Srimati Radharani, the eternal consort of Sri Krishna. Being recognized as an incarnate divine figure wasn't just a high compliment. It gave her profound spiritual standing and undeniable intrinsic authority right from the very beginning. Moving on to Part 2, the spiritual center. The home she shared with Nityananda Prabhu naturally transformed from just a residence into the vibrant, beating heart of the Bhakti movement. The source paints such a vivid picture here. Imagine a place where the air is constantly alive with the resonance of continuous kirtan, devotional chanting and music. It was this intensely energized space hosting profound theological debates that actually shaped the tradition. She meticulously cultivated this environment, making it the ultimate gathering point for wandering devotees and scholars. Which brings us to Part 3, taking the mantle. When Nityanand Prabhu passed away, the movement hit a critical juncture. But Janava Mata didn't step back into the shadows, which you might expect given the societal norms of the 1500s. Instead, she stepped right up to become a guru and an acharya. We really have to emphasize how groundbreaking this was. Taking the title of acharya meant she was officially recognized as the ultimate, highly learned spiritual guide for her entire community. For a woman to assume this unparalleled level of theological and administrative leadership back then was incredibly rare. It absolutely speaks volumes about her undisputed authority. Of course, this kind of leadership required immense diplomatic effort and sheer physical endurance. She systematically took full leadership of the Gaudiya Samaj, effectively bridging divides between the diverse followers of both Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Nityanand Prabhu. And to make sure the movement didn't fracture in its grief, she literally hit the road. She traveled extensively on foot and by cart across the vast regions of Bengal and Odisha. This was a grueling physical toll during a highly volatile era, but her presence was absolutely vital to unify and strengthen the movement from the ground up. Part 4, the Kechuri Festival. The source highlights the Kechuri Mahotsava as one of her most awe-inspiring achievements. And that's largely because of the dramatic context. She organized this massive, spiritually monumental Vaishnava festival in Kechuri Gram, right in the middle of active, terrifying physical threats from advancing Mughal forces. Talk about high stakes. It was an astonishing logistical undertaking. She had to coordinate resources and protect attendees, all under the very real shadow of potential conflict. Against all odds, the festival was a resounding success. She safely gathered followers, scholars, and leaders from every corner of Bengal to celebrate and systematize Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's divine teachings. And it was right here at this monumental gathering that a profound consensus was reached. Janava Mata was unanimously recognized and revered as the divine mother of the entire Gaudiya tradition. This single event forever cemented her legacy as a brilliant unifier and administrative genius. Part 5, Journey to Vrindavan. Following those administrative triumphs, she carried her mission forward to Brajbhumi. Her physical journey to Vrindavan is super important because Vrindavan is the sacred geographic epicenter of the Bhakti movement, deeply associated with the life of Sri Krishna. By bringing the vibrant energy of Bengal's devotion directly to this holy land, she was interconnecting regional spiritual hubs and ensuring the teachings reached the absolute sacred core of the tradition. She spent her peaceful final days near the sacred waters of Radhakund. Today, her samadhi, her final resting place, remains there in Vrindavan, standing as a quiet, powerful testament to her lifelong devotion. Now, this brings a sense of closure to the strict historical biography of Janava Mata. But, as we're about to see, her lasting legacy of female spiritual leadership doesn't just end in the 16th century. Our source actively takes her story and uses it to intervene in some very modern societal debates. Let's look at how.
And finally, part 6, the broader argument.
The source strongly pushes back against this common modern narrative that women in India were historically uneducated, the notion that female education only really began around independence in 1947 or 1950. Using Jashanava Mata as prime evidence, the creator argues that women in Sanatan Dharma were highly educated leaders centuries prior. To back this up, the source points to other historical precedents too, like the famous account of a learned woman who engaged in complex theological debates and successfully defeated the philosopher Shankaracharya. The argument here is that this proves a long, unbroken history of female intellectual leadership. From there, the source broadens its scope to overarching historical conflicts. It argues that ancient India lost wars because of a strict adherence to dharmic principles against adversaries who frankly didn't share them. The source outlines that adhering to honorable rules, like fighting strictly during the daytime and absolutely sparing women, children, and the elderly, put ancient kingdoms at a fatal disadvantage against invaders who used completely different tactics, like attacking at night, cheating, and actively exploiting partons. The source connects this to famous historical grievances, such as the well-known narrative of Prithviraj Chauhan reportedly pardoning Muhammad Ghori 17 times out of sheer compassion, arguing that this ancient mercy was deliberately exploited. It then points to later figures like Shivaji as prime examples of leaders who finally taught new methods to counter these exact tactics. Ultimately, the source asserts the conclusion that in warfare, cheating and weapons must be met with weapons. Tying the biography back to this broader thesis, the creator's ultimate, highly ambitious goal is to spread these specific historical biographies across the entire nation, from Kashmir to Kanyakumari. The stated mission is to systematically nullify that modern notion that women were uneducated and to completely rewrite public perception by providing the hard, undeniable facts of female historical leaders like Janava Mata. It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? How do the specific biographies we choose to highlight from our past directly fuel the complex societal debates we're having today? Keep questioning the narratives around you. Thanks for joining me on this explainer.